Hey guys, what's going on? Today we're going to be building an amp rack. So the first thing y'all can see, I kind of have that square set up. Looking around, the only pieces of metal I could find that were just thick enough, this is 16 gauge steel, was in these 8 by 24 inch sections. I looked around and that was about all I could find, and so I just figured, I can get a couple of them and weld it together. What's the worst that could happen? Now, y'all see me putting in quite a bit of heat. It did bow up and bow out, unfortunately, but that just took a little bit of extra work. I had a little map gas. I had a little map gas torch and just heated it up and set some weight on it and let it cool so it could cool flat. It worked to a degree. The amp rack still has a little bow in it, but it really shouldn't be noticeable once the mounting holes are put into it. But as y'all can see, I went ahead and welded it up and started marking my holes for the amps. And once I marked them, I went ahead and drilled them out. And here I've got the bolts and nuts in it, but I'm actually going to go ahead and weld the nuts to the back. I had a little bit of issue with this. I turned the amp way down for this job just because I didn't want to burn right through the nut. And with turning the amps down, I had trouble with penetration, but the nuts were just so small. It's a M4 bolt, so 7mm nut, and y'all see I kind of had, y'all won't be able to see it on the video, but I had a little bit of trouble with the nuts. Some of them broke off, and some of them actually got the bolts stuck welded to it. That's kind of my fault. But either way, it gets the job done. That's really all I care about. But here, y'all can see just how much it rained. Golly, man, it was coming down. This winter storm coming down through the south. I'm doing the voice recording the next day, and golly, boys, this got cold. Pretty cold. It was raining most of yesterday. But once it come down towards the night, it started freezing rain and sleeting, and woke up with a bunch of ice everywhere. Today it was pretty miserable work outside. I can go ahead and tell you that right now. But yesterday it wasn't too bad. It was pretty bearable. But yeah, I'm welding these nuts back on the back of here just for ease of service. If the amp needs to come off or anything like that for installing the amp, I don't have to reach behind and hold a nut with a wrench or anything like that. All you got to do is just push it in and tighten the bolt down. But here's the finished product with the amps on it, but we still have plenty of work to do. Here's another picture. I had already gone and drilled my holes for that distribution block. It was pretty simple. All I did was just kind of set it there on the edge and mark the holes, drill them out, clean the metal off, and then I found some bolts that would work, because the ones that come with it were like wood screws. But yeah, and also, guys, don't buy cheap tools on Amazon. I bought it was a ratcheting, which kind of sold me. It was a ratcheting wire cutter, and y'all seen just how good of a job that did. It sucks. So thank goodness I had another pair of wire cutters that work fairly well. I didn't really have any trouble cutting through this 4-gauge wire. This is old 4-gauge wire. Also, this was from an amp I had, an amp and sub setup I had. I had a DD 1000 with 2 DD8s in one of my other trucks, and it slammed. It really did, but the amp blew up. Thanking my lovely head unit that went out and took the amp with it. But here, guys, y'all see I'm I've got the wire stripped back, and I have these wire ferrules right here. I just picked up this set on Amazon. I've had them for a little while. I haven't really gotten to use them, but this is what I bought them for right here. They're supposed to be silver plated. I don't really care, but I was just cutting it to size for the ferrules. And now we're going to go ahead and set that side up in the amp, and we're going to measure it out to the other side so we can have a nice kind of straight connection. These wires don't have to move, so we want to try and get it as tight as possible. I was trying to make that turn, but just go ahead and mark it, cut it. Y'all see that other wire cutter I have, and it works a lot better than that ratcheting one, that piece of junk. But just going to go ahead and mark it, strip it back, rinse and repeat basically. Just trying to get that coating off, that insulation, without messing up any of the strands of wire. Because that's the last thing you want to do is go to cut the insulation and have the wire come with it, you know. But slowly, just kind of taking my time, and finally got it fitted up in there and got it screwed down. That mono block right there takes a 4 gauge wire for the power. Now we're fixing to start on this 4-channel, and the 4-channel takes 8 gauge. That's the reason that I went and got that distribution block, so I can split my wires over and not have to run multiple power wires all the way back to the battery. Just kind of clean it up. Now we'll be running 1/0 from the battery to that distribution block. That's a 1/0 to, it's 4 to 8 gauge for the outputs, just to just to be on the safe side. You always want to run over and run under, and it's what I already had some 1/0. But yeah, I honestly thought before I got the amps that the 1200 watt would be taking a 1/0 and the 4-channel would be taking 4 gauge, which I was mistaken. But see, I've got a lot of Scar audio stuff here. I've used them in the past, and I like them. They're not horrible, they're not bad. I would much rather a JL or something like that, but I ain't got JL money. And Scar becomes pretty affordable. I have one of their subs and amps in one of my other vehicles, and it performs. I've had it there for a couple years now, and I can't really say I have any complaints on it. An amp is an amp, and a sub's a sub, and it doesn't really, it doesn't sound bad. It sounds good for what it is, and I really have no complaints about it. But you see, we're going to go and tighten up our connections. We just rinse and repeat, did the same thing. And these wires are going to stay with the amp rack. They're not going to be moved. Now, they'll be taken off whenever the amp's taken off to make our holes, our mounting holes, which you see I'm kind of pointing around here. We still have a little bit of work to do with our mounting holes and our wire routing for our grounds, our modes, our RCAs, but that'll all be taken care of here soon enough once it's in the vehicle. Hey guys, I'm just jumping on here real quick just for that amp rack. So let me show you where this is going. So let's put the seat back. So I have all this room back here, all this room. So the amp rack is actually going to be going here. I have some little 1/2-inch tubing. I'm going to make some small spacers to kind of space it off up here, because there's going to be some sound deadener, and just to equate for the bolts and the nuts and that kind of stuff that are in the amp. I'm not going to do that just yet. I'll get the box built soon enough. Once it's built, it'll sit back here, so I'll know exactly how much room and where to put that amp rack. But yeah, I just wanted to jump in here real quick, just kind of clarify that. The amp rack isn't done. It just requires just making the mounting holes and painting it. But yeah, anyways guys, I'll see y'all later.